I'd come home from school and I'd go for about a 40-minute jog with a sweatsuit on. I'd come back home, have a 5-minute shower, clean my sweatsuit really quickly, then I'd shoot back off to the gym and go and train for about another 2 hours, and that was repetitive, Monday to Friday.
Today the Sikh Spectrum has come to Beaconsfield, and I'm going to interview probably the youngest person as far as all the previous interviews that I've done, a young boy called Arjun Singh, who happens to be a kickboxer. So let's first introduce ourselves. Arjun, let's do Fateh together. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So Arjun, let me start by asking you to give us a short profile about yourself.
I grew up in Hayes, and then around when I was 8 years old, I moved to Beaconsfield, and I live with my mum, my dad, got a younger sister, and live with my grandparents as well in Beaconsfield. Okay, so
what what made you go into kickboxing?
I started kickboxing when I was about, say, 9 years old, and I was a very hyperactive kid when I was younger.
Okay.
And basically, when I was younger, I played a lot of football, and then I made the transition from football into kickboxing. I know you don't really do that, but I moved to doing kickboxing, and from there I just really loved it, so I continued on doing kickboxing till currently kickboxing and boxing.
Right, so when did you do your first match that you played for kickboxing?
I first competed in 2007, so I would have been 11 years old, 12 years old. Okay. And when I was 12 years old, I represented Great Britain at the European Kickboxing Championships in 2007, and that was in Portugal.
Okay. What's the difference between junior kickboxing and adult kickboxing then?
Junior kickboxing is, the age bracket is 10 years old to 18 years old, and then adults is 18 years old onwards to about 34.
Right. And are you now adult boxing, or are you still in the junior?
No, I'm 17 years old, so I can mix between either or, because the limit of competing as an adult is 16 years old, so I compete with adults.
Okay, so which countries have you visited then regarding kickboxing?
From 2007 to present, I've been to Portugal, fought in Italy twice. I've been to Ireland, I've been to Slovakia, and I've been to Serbia as well.
Right. What are the weight categories that you have for kickboxing?
Weight categories, they go up in 5 kg. So my category that I fight in is minus 57 kg, and they go up in 5 kg. So 63 kg, minus 63 kg, minus 69 kg, and so on until you get to 91 kg, and then that's a plus weight. You don't get any higher than 91 kg.
Okay. I mean, you've got to be extremely fit. So what sort of training do you do?
Training is very, very, very intense. My last year program was I'd come home from school and I'd go for about a 40-minute jog with a sweatsuit on. I'd come back home, have a 5-minute shower, clean my sweatsuit really quickly, then I'd shoot back off to the gym and go and train for about another 2 hours, and that was repetitive, Monday to Friday. And then on Fridays, sometimes we'd spar with different people from nearby other clubs as well. And then on Saturday, do a little bit of light training. And then on Sunday, normally we'd go on Sunday in kickboxing, we'd normally go and compete around the UK. Or sometimes if there's international tournaments happening, we'd go to such as Ireland and compete there.
Right. So I mean that's quite heavy training. How does that affect your study that you're doing then?
It did affect my studies, but now I've taken a 4-month break just because I got a lot of things going on. So I've taken a little break, so I'm able to achieve my studies. But prior to that, it did affect my studies a little bit. I was still able to achieve good grades, but I wasn't able to get back into school, secondary school, where I attended the Royal Grammar School in High Wycombe, and then I moved schools from there, and from that transition onwards, I moved from kickboxing to boxing.
Right, so you don't think it's had a knock-on effect on your education? You've sort of come back now?
It did have a knock-on effect because my concentration span is very little. I'm trying to build on that and grow on that, and that's where education is very important. But I'm a type of guy, I'm 100 miles an hour, so when I do things, I do them 100%. I put my 100% all into doing things. So if I do kickboxing, put 100% into that, as you know, through the training. If I do boxing, I put 100% into that. And then if I do education, I put 100% into that and have the mentality of a student, because I feel this year, when I've been studying properly, I've had the proper mentality and thinking skills of a student, whereas training has become second nature, and I've been putting studying, revising for exams. I've been putting that first, and maybe the fitness side. I've still been training, but not as an international fighter should be. So
right.
I put.
So you're hoping to go to university, I assume?
Yeah, that is my aim, to try and get to university.
Okay. Do you not think kickboxing is a professional, job for you in the future?
Kickboxing will not bring the maximum amount of income in through different reasons, because it's not an Olympic sport. But people can make a good living off kickboxing by teaching it, and having all sorts of different sponsors sponsoring them as well.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's funny you should mention that kickboxing isn't part of the Olympics, but weren't they trying to bring it in there?
They are, but there's a lot of complications within, because there's so many different organisations that everyone has to come together, and that's complications through money, and there's a lot of politics within it as well, so that's why it's been difficult to try and get it into the Olympics. People are trying very hard, and a lot of people are coming together now, slowly, which they weren't doing before. That's why every single 4 years have come. We've been not accepted, but we've been in the bracket to get accepted. But it's just been so many complications and so many big people trying to fight over the power. It just hasn't happened, really.
Okay. Well, I mean, I hope one day that we have Sikh children representing GB at the Olympics. And I think that is probably way overdue. I mean, we're like,
Definitely.
Third, fourth generation here. What about injuries then? Tell me, have you had any serious injuries? Because with kickboxing, you always get the impression, you haven't really got proper gloves, and maybe when you're kicking each other, I mean...
It's a combat sport. You will
right.
get hit.
So have you had serious injuries?
Serious injuries, I have had one, but prior to that, I've only had a torn ligaments in my foot, or torn groin, and maybe a couple lumps on my face here and there, but nothing too major. The only major injury I had was in around 2011 October time. It was a freak accident. It wasn't meant to happen, but I'd got kicked in my mouth. As I was going down, the impact of his kick was coming up, and what happened is his heel had hit me right across this part of my mouth, and all of my 5 teeth had been pushed back, and I had after that, I was ready to carry on fighting on, but the doctor advised me not to, and I went straight to the Bristol Hospital Operation Centre, Emergency Operation Centre, and had a 2-hour operation on my mouth, because my tooth had gone through my gum, my 5 teeth had been pushed back out of the roots, and my whole bottom part of my lip had been split open. So the 2-hour operation, they numbed all parts of my mouth and my teeth and put them all back in place. Put a brace on them, and they stitched up I think it was my tongue as well, and they stitched up the whole bottom part of my mouth. And for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, my mum was looking after me a lot, and I was eating out of a straw for a long time. But I was back in the gym a week after that, so...
Okay, so, but I assume there isn't that many injuries. I mean, that was quite...
that was just a freak accident, very rare. All my time I've been in the sport, it's nothing. I've never ever seen anything like that. It was just a one-off.
And you don't wear... I mean, you fight barefooted, don't you?
No. We wear foot guards. Foot guards.
Okay. So that's what hit you then, his foot guard.
His heel.
Right, okay. Okay, so what about people that have actually sort of inspired you or motivated you? Who are those people?
Inspiration-wise, I look towards a lot of boxers and see the struggle that they've come from, maybe being in poverty to fighting in Vegas and all that type of stuff. But also, I had a cousin brother, and he, unfortunately, when he was 15 and I was 14 years old, he passed away from cancer. Oh. So I think, personally, just my beliefs is, if he was able to fight through all of that, and he never complained whenever we talked, he never ever complained about all the struggle he was going through, and I think if he's able to do that and fight through that and never complain, I'm able to just get along with what life has to offer at me, what has thrown at me, and just whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Oh,
that's really good in the sense that it gives you strength.
It's motivation. You have loads of different people that motivate you in different ways, and there's loads of. He does offer inspiration towards me like that, for me to carry on training and work hard.
Right. Okay. No, that's an interesting story. What about the future for you in terms of? I mean, you're quite young, so going into kickboxing now, are you looking to stay with that sport, or are you looking to change?
Kickboxing, it was my first love. I've been doing combat sports and kickboxing since I was a very young age. The first time I stepped into a boxing gym was when I was 5 years old. Not constantly, but that was the first time I'd been to a boxing gym, and we've been training since I was a young kid. But the future, I'd like to achieve. I'd like to achieve a lot of things and put the Sikh credibility higher, to prove that we can do things. Like maybe I don't achieve to have a doctor in front of my first name, but maybe in the future I could have a sir or a lord and try and achieve high.
That's really great. I think that is really encouraging for other youngsters. No, and that's how we should think. We should aim high. Yeah. Doesn't matter where we fall.
The sky's not the limit. It's just the view.
True. That is so true. Let's talk about some other activities I know that you're doing. And one of the things that you've been involved in is making an application for the iPhone.
That's correct.
So, the application is called Talking Bunty.
Hello, my name is Talking Bunties.
So why don't you explain to me why you decided to do that, which is very different from the kickboxing side of things?
I have been doing business, and I have had an entrepreneurial spirit and skills since a young age. But I'd say I'm 14 years old. But we had this opportunity, and we had this opportunity to create an application. And what had happened, one of my business partners had rang me up and told me about what it was and everything, and I said, okay, let's organise a meeting to see what we can progress from this. And we had a meeting about it, and we were in negotiation for about 2 months, and then we decided to do it, the application. And it's more of it hadn't been done before, so also we could also be known as the pioneers of doing the first Indian talking app. So we had a meeting, and we did it. Had our meeting, and the people involved in it is my company, and involved in my company, Talking Bunty. The other two directors are called Hardeep Singh Hans, and the other one's called Arjun Singh Dulay, and then that's in partnership with Soundpipe Records, and the owners of that are Taji and B2. So we do business together, and we created this application.
So what does the application do?
The application, you can talk into it and it talks back. It's modelled on Talking Tom, if you've ever heard of that.
Yes.
But you can talk into it and it talks back. You can sing into it and it sings back. You can poke it, beat it up, make it do lots of funny different things. It's mainly advertising. Our target market is towards the children, but people like you, me, I've got it as well. My age range can do it because you're able to sing into it. Any type of songs you can sing into it, and it'll sing back to you. So if you're watching, download it. Talking Bunty on Apple.
So I assume you put an Indian accent on there for Talking Bunty. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've auto-tuned his voice, so it's speech recognition within the application.
Okay, no, I mean, I can only wish you the best, and I think at such a young age, I mean, anything like that, and it's iPhone that's taken it. What about the other phones then?
We're planning to expand. This is just the base. We've just got a base at the moment, and with this application, we're planning to expand. But we can only do that with exposure, and we are on quite a tight budget at the moment. So we have a lot of support from Bhangra artists such as Juggy D, Mumsy Stranger, Rishi Rich. They've all been tweeting about the app. H Darmony as well. They've all been tweeting about the app and telling everyone to download it, and they've got it themselves. And we're just planning to expand it, do competitions, possibly bring out toys, do loads of different creative things that just people can get behind and just enjoy, really.
Okay, no, I think that's it's a fascinating project, and I can only wish you the best of luck, and hopefully that all the youngsters are looking. But I'm glad you said people like myself as well, because I'm going to download it onto my iPhone. Okay, before we move on to look at your medals, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers?
I'd like to say thank you for watching the interview, and if you want to get in contact with me, you can get in contact with me via email on Arjun Dulay, ARJUNDULAY 95 at gmail.com, and follow the Talking Bunty on Facebook, Twitter, and the adverts will be on B4U and Brit Asia as well. And support what we're doing, and everyone go out there, download the app, and it's word of mouth. It's that's the process. Get in the motion and create the bigger ball, and hopefully we can get this app out to all the different countries around the world.
Okay, so you say Talking Bunty with an Indian accent, Talking Bunty. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to move over into the other room to talk to you about the medals that you've won.
These are a few of my medals I've won over the years.
Well, they don't look a few to me. I mean, it's quite an impressive collection you've got. Your parents must be really proud of you. It's like one of those medals that when you win at school, 100-meter races and so on. Before I start on these medals, I want to talk to you about this dummy you've got behind you.
Yeah.
This one, what's all this about?
This is called the Bob, and it's just a sort of training equipment where you can punch his stomach, his head, and it lights up in different places, and then you just have to hit it when it lights up. But normally I just turn it off. I don't use the lights, and I just use it just for general practicing, because it's quite a good imitation of a real human being. So
is it a reaction for how quickly
it can be a reaction? Change? Yeah, that's true. It can be a reaction. So lights would light up here, you have to hit them there, and as soon as that light turns off, it light up there, different places. You just have to hit different places on the body.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting piece of kit. So let's talk about the medals. Let me start with this one first. This WACO British Champion for 2009. What does WACO stand for?
WACO stands for World Association of Kickboxing Organisation.
Right. And so in 2009 you won this one?
Yeah.
What was that, like a big tournament?
Yeah, it was. WACO is the biggest organisation in the whole kickboxing scene. It's the hardest to win. And that year I won the British twice. But overall I'm 7 times British champion, Great Britain champion. So.
Oh, okay. So these are these ones here that you've got, the small ones.
Yeah, them sort of ones. That's where I came third in Britain. These are third in Britain. This is first in Britain.
Right.
As well. All these sort of medals are just different ones over the years that I've won.
So which, out of all these, which is the one that you treasure the most then?
I would have to, when I get a lot of medals and I win, I just normally put them in my bag and then bring them home, and Mum just hides them in the loft or office. But I'd have to say the one I treasure the most would have to be this one here, because this was the first major competition I went to in Ireland, and I won it. And it was probably the biggest and hardest category going. It had 60 people involved in it, in the category, and I was lucky enough to win it. It was
that's a knockout, is it?
Yeah, these were knockout stages where it had 60 opponents in there, and I was able to beat everyone and win it. This was in Ireland in 2008, so that was the start. That was the sort of starting.
Okay.
The stepping stones to bigger things.
I was thinking of one question for you. Do your parents come and watch you fight?
When I was younger, my parents did, but when I was 13, I had my coaches, and when I'd been abroad as well, I just normally just go with them, because I like the independence of travelling alone, looking after your own money, looking after everything yourself. So since I've been 13 onwards,
Right.
on weekends or if I've been travelling abroad, I normally just go on my own. And it's been them sort of experiences are priceless. They're really good experiences.
So what do you think about parents that don't encourage their children to go into sports so much, but focus so much on education?
I think education is important, but I do think every single child has their own specific talent. So if it is within the doing fighting, combat, or maybe it might be business, or maybe it might be playing an instrument, they should encourage their child to pursue their passion, because it causes the child to be happy, and it's just a good development skill, because it gives them the child an overall skill in life.
Right. Okay, now most of these medals are kickboxing,
Yeah,
but there are a few that I see that are boxing. So have you now moved on to boxing?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, I made the transition into boxing.
Right.
And
This is amateur boxing.
Amateur boxing, yeah, not professional. Amateur
Right.
boxing. And
which ones are the boxing ones that you've got? Apart from this one that I can see.
Yeah, there's one
where,
there.
Right.
And there's this one here, which was my latest boxing fight in June 2012. So these two were the ones I won in boxing, but I had to put my boxing career on hold because of the injury I sustained within my
Okay,
mouth.
so you haven't fought since 2012 then?
No, because that was another reason of trying to get my education at the moment, because this period of time is the longest I've ever taken off training, and that was just because I thought it'd be better to. Last year I was full on going for boxing and pursuing that, and then I put my foot on the brakes and evaluate the situation, and I thought it would be better just to get a foundation of my grades first, and also mainly to make my mum proud, because she definitely wants me to get my education.
I'm sure they're proud, including your grandfather and your grandmother. I mean, which parent wouldn't be, proud of their son? Okay, so one thing while I've been interviewing you is I found, do you, when you're fighting someone, is there ever a fear factor of the opponent? He might be bigger, or I know the weight's the same, but when you look at people, yes,
you get them rough looking sort of people, and sometimes you'll know their history of what they've done to opponents. But I just relax, chill out, listen to my music, have a smile on my face. I'll either go for two different moves. Maybe I have a smile on my face if I'm just relaxed, or I can go for the serious face just before my fight, just to intimidate my opponent as well. They say a high percentage of fighting is mental games, and if you get into your opponent's mind or brain to sort of intimidate them, they might not be able to perform as well when it comes to the actual when it comes to performing in front of the spotlight. So it's all a bit of fun though. So just a bit of fun, really.
Good. No, I'm sure you can get into people's psyche. Look, I want to thank you for allowing us to come to your home and share all your medals with the Sikh channel viewers. Is there any last thing you'd like to say to the viewers?
I would say, all you parents out there, make sure you get your kids training to keep them fit, so when they get older, they stay fit as well, and their head doesn't change grey quickly. But besides from that, thank you for watching the interview, and thank you, Gurdeep.
Good, thank you very much. So with that, let's do Fateh together. Waheguru Ji Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.